Dragon Ball has always been a work where power has no clear limit. We started with warriors who could barely destroy a mountain, and soon after we saw characters blowing up planets with a single blow. Over time, the scales became almost abstract, going from planets to solar systems to threats that could rewrite the very fabric of reality. But what if we put an unlikely character into this scenario? A hero who was born in video games and became famous for his speed, but who carries achievements that many people don't know about. What if it was Sonic facing the Dragon Ball warriors one by one? Before we say whether the Blue Hedgehog could face Freeza or Cell, we need to understand the real power scale of the Dragon Ball universe. Because you can't just throw Sonic into this ring without first knowing the size of the monsters he's going to face. So today we're going to categorize the villains of Dragon Ball by threat levels, from the initial Saiyajin through planetary tyrants and perfect bioandroids, all the way to cosmic horrors like Majin Buu. And then we'll see how far Sonic could last. But before we put Sonic face to face with the craziest warriors of this universe, we need to understand the power scale he's going to face. In Dragon Ball, the growth of strength isn't linear, it's exponential, almost insane really. To enable this confrontation, we split the journey into 6 categories. The first 5 cover the entire Z phase, from the first villains to the cosmic monsters. Beginning with the small planetary scale, we progress to planetary, large planetary solar system, and ultimately the stellar and multisystemic scales. Each phase represents a new break in logic, a leap so violent that if Sonic isn't ready, he's crushed instantly. But if he gets through all of that, there's still one last possibility, the 6th category, the one that goes beyond being. A universe where time bends, where entire universes are erased with a gesture, and where even the gods have a hierarchy. The multiversal level of Dragon Ball Super. The journey begins now, and the first obstacle would already be the final boss in any other universe. Raditz, the first major villain in Dragon Ball Z, poses a significant threat despite not being the strongest Saiyajin in the series. His power level of 1,500 was terrifying by the standards of that time. Comparing him to Goku as a child who trained to dodge lightning while traveling at about 430,000 kilometers per hour, Raditz would be at least 6 times faster, reaching an estimate of over 2.5 million kilometers per hour. In terms of destruction, Raditz is superior to characters like Master Kame and Piccolo, who already had enough power to blow up the moon, something that requires more than 2.4 quadrillion joules. This easily puts Raditz at the level of destroying small planets like Mercury. And the worst part is, he wasn't even considered strong among the surviving Saiyajin. Vegeta, still a villain in the first Z saga, significantly raises the bar. His power level jumps to 18,000, which makes him about 12 times stronger than Raditz. Considering his transformation into Azaru, the giant ape which increases his attributes tenfold, his threat level far exceeds earthly standards. It is estimated that his speed in this state reaches approximately 290 million kilometers per hour, and his destructive power would be enough to wipe out planets much larger than Earth, like Neptune, for example, which has about 17 times the mass of our planet. At this point, Dragon Ball departs from common planetary logic and enters a more brutal and exaggerated realm. When we get to Freeza, the level changes again. In his final form, Freeza is able to destroy planet Vegeta with just one finger, and that planet had 10 times the mass of Earth. For that, he would need to release energy equivalent to more than 650 million joules, which puts him at the level of destroying massive planets. In terms of speed, we have a remarkable scene on Namekusei. Goku leaves a recovery chamber and crosses half the planet, something around 20,000 kilometers in less than a second. That gives him a speed of about 72 million kilometers per hour, even in his base form and without using all his power. And Freeza was already keeping up with that easily. This is where characters stop being local threats and start becoming true weapons of annihilation, not to mention Frieza's other power levels above his first form. Cell, in his perfect form, is the first villain in the series to threaten the destruction of an entire solar system. During his fight against Gohan, he claims that his Kamehameha could destroy the sun and all the surrounding planets. And that's not just villain talk, the claim is confirmed by several official guides. To do something like that, it would take more than 10 to the 44th power joules, a level completely beyond any ordinary planetary destruction. Saru surpasses Freeza in speed, technique, and endurance. In other words, he's not just stronger, he's more complete. Here, The Dragon Ball universe reaches a new level of threat, where the villains not only destroy worlds, but can erase the existence of several celestial bodies at once. Majin Buu is an entity of chaos created by magic, and he defies any logic of natural evolution. Even in his initial form, he easily surpasses the power of Cell, but when he absorbs fighters like Gotenks and Gohan, Buu becomes a cosmic aberration. Conservative estimates put him at least 4 times the strength of Super Saiyajin 3, which was already enough to shake dimensions. However, Buu's power extends beyond just brute strength. He regenerates, adapts, and has powers that go beyond physical destruction. Despite lacking a precise speed calculation, it's clear he matched Gotenks' top speed inside the hyperbolic time chamber, without absorbing anyone. In a space with different time flow, Gotenks had already flown around Earth multiple times. He undeniably bridges the gap between destructive and transcendent villains in the Dragon Ball universe. Now that we understand the kind of threat Sonic would face at each stage, there's only one question left. Would he stand a chance? After all, we're talking about a universe where destroying planets is just the beginning, and where the speed and endurance of the characters reach almost mythological levels. Sonic, in his base form, has accomplished feats as insane as these, and maybe even more, which many people might not know. Forget that image of the blue mascot running through Green Hill Zone. The Sonic from the main games has feats of speed, endurance, and power that simply go unnoticed by most of the public. So, before we put him face to face with the monsters from Dragon Ball, let's take a look at what this hedgehog is really capable of. And to present these feats with the attention they deserve, I called my partner Neorex, who knows a lot about the Sonic universe in the games and will show why this hedgehog can't be underestimated. His channel is linked below, so check it out later.
Now passing it over to me, let's do a Sonic scale. Starting with base Sonic, which I guarantee will surprise you. His feats range from lightspeed attacks to crossing infinity and rewriting entire timelines. It's simply absurd. Starting with Sonic's speed. Does he have the speed of light? Yes, and much more than that, I assure you. Several times since the classic games, Sonic has been able to reach and even surpass the speed of light, and reach standards of infinite or immeasurable speeds. Starting with his feats, several times Sonic is mentioned as being able to reach the speed of light. But not only that, he also dodges several direct light lasers. And since the Adventure era, Sonic can use the Lightspeed Dash. He attacks at the speed of light, but that's nothing compared to what we'll see later on. In Sonic Colors, Sonic is able to escape a black hole for a few seconds, even while tired and without any power-up. Not even able to use his boost, which gives him at least a speed above light. In Sonic and the Secret Rings in the Night Palace, Sonic goes through a corridor that twists into infinite space, and he moves through it normally, which requires his speed to be beyond the conventional limits of 3-dimensional space, which implies infinite speed. But wait, what does infinite speed mean? The basic calculation for speed is speed equals distance divided by time. With infinite speed, you basically replace speed equals
infinite distance
divided by time. The next level after infinite speed is called inaccessible speed, where speed equals distance divided by 0. Basically, time here was changed to 0. This is usually used for spaces where time doesn't exist, where the character doesn't necessarily need to spend time to reach a place. The next level is called immeasurable speed. Basically, a character can use their speed to move freely along the timeline, or even reach places before they exist. Good examples of characters who do this are Flash and Superman. But why did I have to explain all of this? Trust me, it will be crucial. As I already said, infinite speed wasn't a big problem for Sonic, since he crosses an infinite distance in the castle. In Sonic Generations, the villain Time Eater consumes the timeline. Sonic's universe remains, and it's up to him to rebuild his own timeline. And Tails says, when the Sonics accelerate through time, they fix space returning. Here, Sonic reaches speeds that literally break the time barrier, restoring time, space, and the reality of his universe. It's basically a feat that the Flash also does, for those who didn't get it. And this is where I would scale base Sonic at immeasurable speed. The real problem with Sonic without the emeralds are the other attributes, like strength and endurance. When it comes to physical strength, in the Japanese manual of Sonic, 3, it's described that Sonic can destroy entire mountains with his spin dash, and that's not an exaggeration. He actually does that in the opening of Sonic CD. In Sonic Unleashed, the Egg Dragoon is a machine designed by Dr. Eggman to drill into the Earth's core, withstanding absurd heat and pressure, and Sonic destroys this machine easily with physical attacks. In Sonic Forces Base, Sonic is able to defeat Infinite, the space-time manipulator who is at least planetary or continental level, since he was able to create a small star that had the destructive potential to destroy the entire planet. In terms of durability, Sonic really survives explosions from giant machines, energy attacks, attacks from Infinity himself, surviving a black hole, in short, many durability feats, but that's about it. If you consider that to perform attacks at a continental destruction level, he has to have a body that can withstand it. We can put Sonic at that level of durability, continental or planetary. Anyway, it's also worth considering that Sonic is an exceptional fighter, with techniques that allow him to create projections of himself by attacking faster than light, shoot energy beams, and defeat huge robots with pure punches.
So how far could he go? Well, base Sonic without the Chaos Emeralds or alternate forms already shows absurd speed feats. He responds to lasers, evades black holes, traverses infinite spaces, and repairs timelines. This isn't an exaggeration, it's literally described in the games. When we talk about pure speed, base Sonic is already above any character from the entire Z saga, except for a few rare moments of fusions or divine transformations. Practically speaking, Sonic is probably faster than any form of Goku, up to Super Saiyajin 3 and maybe even Gotenks and Buu. The problem also arises in physical strength and destructive power. As much as Sonic can destroy mountains, robots that drill into the Earth's core, and withstand massive attacks, his strength is, more safely, at a continental to planetary level at most. This means he could cause serious problems for characters like Raditz and Vegeta or Uzaru because he has overwhelming speed and the ability to react before they can even think. In this kind of confrontation, speed beats raw strength. Sonic would easily defeat Category 1 and 2 enemies, either through speed blitzing or strategic fighting. But when we get to Category 3 with Freeza, things change. Freeza is not only extremely fast in his final form, but also destructive on a massive planetary level, and his body can take much more of a beating than Sonic is capable of delivering. Sonic would still be faster, but he probably wouldn't deal enough damage to win. In Categories 4, Cell, and 5, Buu, he would be significantly outmatched, reaching his strength's limit. Even though he's much faster, Sonic doesn't have the strength, durability, or special abilities to deal real damage or survive a solar or multi-system scale attack. From here on, he would be defeated due to lack of damage and physical scale.
Let's scale up to Super Sonic. This is where things start getting interesting. Take all those attributes of Sonic and multiply them by infinity. This is where we get to. The Chaos Emeralds are said to possess infinite power, and that's not an exaggeration. Narratively, the Chaos Emeralds don't give Sonic a transformation with multipliers, like Super Saiyajin for example. Instead, they give him the power to win, no matter who the opponent is. They are capable of anything, absolutely anything in the Sonic universe. Doubt it? So, let's take a look at some of Sonic's feats with them. Super Sonic is able to defeat Dark Gaia with a single attack, the same Dark Gaia that's made of negative energy, being the counterpart to Light Gaia. Dark Gaia is said to have been present at the creation of the planet. Do you have any idea how much energy is needed to create a planet? And Sonic defeated him with one attack. That puts him at least one tier higher. But it doesn't stop there, that's actually Super Sonic's most basic feat. In Sonic Rush, Super Sonic and Blaze defeat Eggman Mega. Yeah, I know that name is funny. With the power of the Soul Emeralds, he was about to collapse two entire universes, Sonic's and Blaze's. In Sonic Generations, Sonic, along with his classic version, faces a Time Eater, which, as mentioned earlier, was able to consume the entire reality of the main Sonic timeline. In other words, it consumed not only the entire universe, but the whole timeline. In Sonic Frontiers, Sonic faces
The end exactly.
literally described as the end, something that represents death, destruction, and the collapse of everything. Starfall Island itself says that the end is not just a physical entity, but a metaphysical manifestation of the very end of existence. He's not a typical villain, but the personification of the inevitable end of all things. It is said that the end travels from civilization to
universe.
To universe, destroying absolutely everything and leaving absolutely nothing behind. Sonic fights against a physical manifestation, not against the concept of the end in its entirety. But for Sonic to tank, resist, and defeat a physical manifestation of the end capable of destroying entire universes and,
well,
erasing realities is at the very least quite an achievement. In Sonic 06, together with Sonic and Silver, Sonic defeats Solaris, an entity that consumes timelines from the past, present, and future simultaneously. It's a multiversal feat of destroying several existing timelines, which means that Sonic is not only able to interact, but also to fight an opponent who can even be omnipresent. So, what conclusion do we reach? Feats: low multiversal to mid multiversal and immeasurable speed, close to temporal omnipresence, since Sonic can interact with and even defeat omnipresent characters.
We've discussed base Sonic, but when he harnesses the Chaos Emerald's power, everything transforms. Super Sonic is on another level, invulnerable, absurdly faster, and with feats that put him way above any standard Dragon Ball Z villain. The first threats, Raditz, Vegeta, Freeza, simply wouldn't stand a chance. Super Sonic has already crossed thousands of light years in seconds, flown through entire galaxies, and defeated enemies who distort time and space with ease. Against these guys, the fight doesn't even start. Cell, with his attack capable of destroying a solar system, wouldn't be a match either. Super Sonic has previously defeated enemies using weapons with this level of power, like the Ultimate Emerald, and he does it in less than half a minute. He's faster, tougher, and much more dangerous. Majin Buu is the only one with feats that would give him a bit of trouble, mainly because of his regeneration and almost infinite stamina. However, Sonic has already defeated Solaris, who threatened to destroy all timelines simultaneously. He not only withstood it, but won. If he goes straight to the point, Majin Buu falls too. And then the final question remains, could Super Sonic go toe-to-toe with the levels of Dragon Ball Super? Ultra Instinct Goku, Jiren, Beerus, Zeno. Games show Super Sonic defeating the End, who claims superiority over everything and has broken the laws of time, space, and universe's logic. Sonic defeats this with Chaos Emeralds entering the discussion. Zeno might even be superior because of his ability to erase instantly, but could he react before Sonic did something? Super Sonic would be, at the very least, on par with any Dragon Ball character because of his incredible feats.